While I was at work, my mom's sister and her 3 kids started moving their belongings to my house. She said this house is family property now. I changed all the locks and called the police by the day they were supposed to move in. My name is Isabella, and I am 32 years old. I lived alone in a large house in Austin that I had bought through my investment company, Sterling Investments LLC. I had worked hard to build that company from nothing, and the house was proof of what I had accomplished. I had a mother who I thought loved me, an older sister named Madison, and 3 nephews aged 15, 12, and 9. Madison had divorced a few years back, and was raising the boys on her own in a crabbed apartment across town. I saw them occasionally at family gatherings, helped out when I could, but we weren't particularly close. One Friday evening, I was driving home from my friend Olivia's place. We had grabbed dinner and talked about work, normal stuff. It was around 8 when I pulled into my driveway and saw something that made no sense. My mother, my sister, all 3 nephews, and a mountain of suitcases were piled on my front porch. They were just standing there, waiting. When Mom saw my car, she walked down the steps toward me. Finally, she said, "Open the door, Isabella. We've been waiting for almost an hour." Something felt wrong, but they were my family. I walked up to the porch, unlocked the door, and the second that lock clicked open, Madison and the kids rushed past me into the house. "Mom, what the hell?" But Madison was already inside, leading the boys down the hallway. I heard her voice echoing through the rooms. "Okay guys, this one can be yours, Jacob. And, Ethan, you and Luke can share this bigger one. We'll rearrange the furniture to fit both your beds." I followed them inside. Madison was opening doors, pointing out rooms like she owned the place. The boys looked confused but excited, dropping their backpacks in what Madison was calling their new rooms. "Madison, stop, what are you doing?" She turned to me with a bright smile, setting us up. "This house is huge, Izzy. Way too big for just you. We need it. Need it? This is my house." Mom came in behind me, closing the door firmly. "Isabella, this house is family property now. You can't keep something this big all to yourself when your sister and nephews are cramped in that tiny apartment with thin walls. It's selfish. Family property? I bought this house. With my own money, from my company." Madison walked back toward me, still smiling like this was all perfectly reasonable. "The neighbors complain constantly about the boys being too loud. I feel like a terrible mother, always telling them to be quiet. Here, they can actually be kids. You understand that, right? I understand that this is my house, and you can't just move in without asking me." Mom sighed like I was being difficult. "Isabella, you should be grateful for the opportunity to finally make a meaningful contribution to this family. You've always been so focused on work, on yourself. Now you can actually help." Madison nodded enthusiastically. "And since you're at work all day anyway, you should take the smallest bedroom. The one at the back with the poor lighting. You're barely here, so it makes sense." I stared at both of them. "Are you serious right now? You're trying to kick me out of my own bedroom?" "We're not kicking you out," Mom said, her voice taking on that tone she used when she wanted me to feel guilty. "We're just making practical decisions. You don't understand how the adult world works, Isabella. Families support each other. You're running away from that responsibility. This is insane. You can't just decide to move into my house." They ignored me completely. Madison started talking to Mom about where they would put the TV, which rooms needed new furniture, whether they should paint the walls. They were planning their takeover right in front of me, treating my protests like background noise. I pulled out my phone, opened it to the dial pad, and started pressing numbers. 911. Madison's head snapped toward me. "What are you doing?" "Calling the police. To report intruders in my house who claim to be family but refuse to leave after being warned." Mom reached into her purse and pulled out a key. My spare house key. The one I had given her months ago. "You gave me this key," Mom said calmly, holding it up. "That means you gave me permission to enter this house at any time. This isn't a legal entry, Isabella. This is family." My stomach dropped. I remembered giving her that key. I had been going on a long business trip and Mom had cried, saying she was worried something would happen to me, that I would fall alone in the house and no one would know. I had believed her concern was genuine. Madison pulled out another key from her pocket. "I made a copy of Mom's. We both have access." You can't call us intruders when you literally gave us keys. I looked at both of them and realized this wasn't impulsive. This was planned, calculated. Next Friday, Mom said, putting the key back in her purse. 9 in the morning. A moving truck will arrive with our furniture and belongings. Everything we need to make this house a real family home. And Isabella, if you mention the police again, I will disown you. You'll have no family at all. We need to go pack up the rest of our things, Madison added. Finish up at the apartment, give notice to the landlord. We'll be back next week. She heard the boys toward the door. They looked excited, talking about their new rooms, completely unaware of what was actually happening. Mom paused at the door. This is for the best, Isabella. You'll see that eventually. Then, they were gone. I stood in the hallway for a long time, thinking. Then something occurred to me. If they had keys, why didn't they just let themselves in? Why wait for me to open the door? I walked outside to the porch and looked up. There, above the door, was my old security camera. It had been there for years, capturing anyone who came to the front door. They knew about that camera. I went back inside and thought through what had just happened. They waited for me to open the door. They made me unlock it, made me let them in. On camera, it would look like I invited them. Like I opened my home to family willingly. If I called the police now, Mom could show them the recording. Could say this was just a family dispute, that I had let them in myself, that we were just arguing about living arrangements. The spare key would support her story. Permission to enter. Invitation inside. Family disagreement. This wasn't just about moving in. This was about legally seizing my property. Making it look consensual. Making it look like a family decision I had agreed to. Mom had planned this perfectly. The tearful request for a key months ago. The coordinated arrival. The wait for me to open the door. The demonstration of the keys. The threat of disarmament if I involved police. She wasn't trying to move in with me. She was trying to take my house. Monday morning, I was on the phone before 8. First call went to the best 24-hour locksmith in Austin. A guy named Mr. Johnson, who had 5-star reviews across the board. I need every lock in my house changed. As soon as possible. And I need the best locks you have. Not the standard stuff, the best. Second call went to Apex Security. I had a corporate contract with them through my investment company, so they knew me. I need a complete security system installed, top level. Everything you've got. Emergency installation. We'll make it happen. Mr. Johnson showed up right on schedule. He was an older guy, professional, didn't ask questions he didn't need answered. He spent 3 hours on that front door alone, installing a completely keyless system with a military-grade numeric keypad. The old brass door handle and keyhole were gone, replaced by a seamless metal panel with a blue-white glow from the keypad in the center. Then he moved to the back door and all the windows, replacing every single lock with special mechanisms that he said couldn't be picked or forced open. These are the same locks they use in high-security government buildings, he told me. You're safer here than most people are in a bank vault. The Apex security team arrived at 2 in the afternoon. For technicians with cases of equipment, moving through my house like a well-trained unit. They installed cameras everywhere. Inside, outside, covering every angle. High-performance cameras with automatic motion tracking. All the footage uploaded directly to cloud storage that I could access from my phone 24 hours a day. These cameras record sound too, the lead technician explained. Your old camera was video only. These will capture everything. They installed sensors on every door and every window. The technician showed me how they worked. If anyone tries to open a door or window without disarming the system first, a siren goes off. Loud enough to wake the dead. And it automatically calls the police. They'll have units here in minutes. By Wednesday morning, my house was a fortress. But I needed legal backup too. I met with Mr. Mitchell, my lawyer. I had used him for all legal matters since I founded the company, and I trusted him completely. I told him everything. The arrival on Friday, the spare keys, the planned moving truck, Mom's threat of disarmament. Mitchell leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. This isn't a simple family dispute, Isabella. This is malicious invasion and coercion. They used your kindness and guilt to deliberately attempt to seize your property. Can they actually do this? Legally? Not if you handle it correctly. First, record every conversation from here on out, every phone call, every interaction. Second, gather all official documents proving you own the property outright through your company. Third, the moment they show up on Friday, you call the police. No hesitation, no second chances. You call immediately. They'll say it's just family drama, which is why you need documentation. Corporate registration, property records, everything notarized and official. I'll prepare a full packet for you by Thursday. Thursday afternoon, Mitchell's office called. The documents were ready. I picked them up personally. Notarized, stamped official property records. Corporate registration for Sterling Investments LLC. Everything showing that the house belonged to me and my company, with no other parties having any claim to it. I also called the Neighborhood Homeowners Association and spoke to Michael, their security officer. Explained the situation, gave him Mom and Madison's names and descriptions, registered them as unwanted persons attempting to trespass on my property. If they show up Friday, call me immediately, Michael said. I'll be there to document everything. Friday morning came. I sat in my living room at 845, watching the surveillance camera feeds on my large wall monitor. Multiple angles of my front yard, driveway, porch, all in crystal clear high definition. At 852, a huge U-Haul truck turned onto my street. Behind it, Madison's car. Both vehicles parked in front of my house. Mom and Madison got out of Madison's car. They both looked competent, smiling, like they had already won. Two movers in work uniforms climbed out of the truck and stood waiting for instructions. Madison walked up the porch steps first. She reached for the door handle and froze. The old brass handle was gone. In its place was the seamless metal panel with the glowing numeric keypad. She stared at it like she couldn't process what she was seeing. Mom came up behind her. What are you waiting for? Use your key. The lock is gone, there's no keyhole? Mom looked at the door. Her competent expression cracked. She started banging on the metal panel where the handle used to be. Madison joined her, pounding on the door. Isabella opened this door right now. I watched them on the monitor. Didn't move. Then another car pulled up. Michael from the HOA got out, tablet in hand. He walked calmly up the porch steps. Is there a problem here? Mom whirled on him. My daughter locked us out for no reason. We're family. Make her open this door. Michael checked his tablet. I have an official request here from Miss Isabella Sterling, the legal owner of this property. You and your daughter Madison are registered as unwanted persons forbidden from entering these premises. I'm going to have to ask you to leave immediately. This is my daughter's house. We have keys. Your keys don't work anymore, ma'am. And you have no legal right to be here. Please leave before I have to call the police. Mom's face turned red. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911 herself. I need to report a theft. My daughter stole my house. I almost laughed watching that. The audacity was incredible. 5 minutes later, a police car arrived. 2 officers got out. Mom ran to them and dropped to her knees on the lawn, sobbing dramatically. Officers, please help us. My daughter kicked us out. She changed the locks. My grandchildren will be home from school soon with nowhere to go. Madison stood next to her, hugging herself and crying, acting like invisible children were clinging to her legs. I watched them perform for another 30 seconds. Then I picked up the remote control, unlocked the digital lock from inside, and opened my front door. Time to end this. I stepped out onto the porch. Both officers turned to look at me. Good morning, officers. I'm Isabella Sterling, the legal owner of this property. The senior officer, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes, nodded. Ma'am, we received a call about a dispute over property ownership. I handed her the folder Mitchell had prepared. These are the official documents. Property records. Corporate registration for Sterling Investments LLC. All notarized and stamped. This house belongs to my company. I'm the sole owner. She opened the folder and studied the documents carefully. Flipped through each page, checking the notary stamps, the official seals. Her partner looked over her shoulder, reading along. After a few minutes, she looked up at my mother. Ma'am, according to these legally certified documents, you have no rights to this property. This house belongs to Miss Sterling and her company, but she's my daughter. We're family. That doesn't give you legal claim to her property. The officer's voice was firm. attempting to move into someone's home against their will, even a family member's home, constitutes criminal trespassing under Texas law. It's a serious offense. She gave us keys. We have permission. I revoked that permission, I said calmly, and I changed the locks. You no longer have access to my home. The officer turned back to Ma'am. You need to pack up that truck and leave. Now if you refuse, we'll have no choice but to arrest you for attempted trespassing and harassment. Ma'am stared at me. The tears were gone. In their place was pure hatred. Her expression was so filled with rage that I actually took a step back. You'll regret this, she said quietly. You'll die alone, Isabella, completely alone. She stood up, brushed off her knees, and walked to Madison's car without another word. Madison scrambled to grab the few bags they had set on the ground, threw them in the car, and hurried after her. The movers didn't need to be told twice. They climbed back in the truck, started the engine, and drove away. Madison's car followed. The officer stayed for another few minutes, making notes. The senior officer handed me a card. If they come back, call us immediately. Don't engage, just call. Thank you. Michael from the HOA gave me a nod. I documented everything. If you need my statement for anything, just let me know. After they all left, I went back inside. The house was quiet, safe, still mine. A few days later, I sat in Mitchell's office again. This time to sign an official application for a restraining order against both my mother and Madison, given their attempt to unlawfully occupy your property and their behavior when confronted by police. A judge will almost certainly approve this, Mitchell said. The order was officially approved 3 days later. That's when my phone exploded. Voice messages from Mom. Hysterical screaming, then plaintiff sobbing. You've forgotten everything I did to raise you. Everything I sacrificed. You'll die alone in rotten loneliness, Isabella. Alone and miserable. Text messages from Madison. Long, furious paragraphs. The cancellation fee for those movers was $3,500. You owe me that money, Isabella. You humiliated us. You destroyed our lives. Pay me back. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I took screenshots of every call, every message, every voicemail transcript, sent them all to Mitchell as additional evidence. Then, I deleted both their contact information from my phone. Mitchell called me a week later with an update. The incident has spread throughout your neighborhood and among your extended family. The police involvement made a public record. Your mother and Madison are facing significant social consequences. What kind of consequences? They're being rejected by most of the family for their selfish behavior. People are calling them out for trying to steal your house. They're essentially isolated now. Good. There's more. Madison's facing a large fine from U-Haul for the cancellation, and she's under an urgent deadline for eviction from her current apartment. She gave notice to her landlord weeks ago, believing the move to your house was going to happen. Now she has nowhere to go and no time to find a new place. I felt a flicker of something. Not quite guilt, but close. Then I remembered them planning which bedroom to give me, the smallest, one with poor lighting, treating my home like it was already theirs. The flicker disappeared. That's her problem, not mine. Agreed. The restraining order is solid. They can't come within 500 feet of you or your property. If they violate it, they'll be arrested immediately. I thanked him and hung up. Looked around my office, at the business I had built, the success I had earned. None of it came from family help. All of it came from my own work. My mother had said I would die alone. Maybe I would. But I would die in my own house, surrounded by things I had earned, without people who saw me as nothing more than a resource to exploit. That sounded pretty good to me. 3 months passed. My life returned to normal. Or maybe better than normal. I threw myself into work. Sterling Investments had several major deals closing, and I spent long hours at the office making sure everything went smoothly. My team was solid, the clients were happy, and the money kept flowing in. Success felt even sweeter knowing I had protected what I built. Olivia came over for dinner one Friday night. We sat in my kitchen drinking wine, and she asked the question I knew was coming. Have you heard from them at all? No. The restraining order is still active. They can't contact me. But, have they tried? I shrugged. Mitchell told me Madison attempted to send a letter through a mutual cousin. The cousin refused to be the middleman. Smart choice on their part. What did the letter say? I don't know. I told the cousin to throw it away without reading it to me. I don't care what Madison has to say. Olivia refilled her wine glass. I heard your mom is telling people you stole her retirement plan. She never had a retirement plan. She had a scheme to take my house. People are talking, Izzy. In your family, in the neighborhood. It's become this whole thing. Let them talk. Everyone who matters knows the truth. The police know, the HOA knows. Mitchell documented everything. Your aunts and uncles are taking sides. I don't care whose side they're on. They weren't there. They didn't see Mom pull out that spare key like it was some kind of trump card. They didn't hear Madison planning which room to stick me in. Olivia was quiet for a moment. Do you think you'll ever reconcile? No, they didn't make a mistake, Liv. They planned this. Mom manipulated me into giving her that key months in advance. They coordinated the whole thing, waited for me to open the door so it would look consensual on camera. They were going to take my house and there was nothing accidental about it. That's fair, I just wanted to make sure you were okay with it. I'm more than okay. I'm relieved. I spent 32 years trying to be a good daughter, a good sister. Trying to contribute to the family. And the moment I had something valuable, they tried to take it. That tells me everything I need to know about who they really are. A week later, I ran into one of my cousins at the grocery store. Rachel, from my dad's side of the family. She had always been decent to me, never involved in the drama. Isabella, hey. I've been meaning to call you. Hey, Rachel, what's up? She glanced around like she didn't want anyone to overhear. Your mom and Madison are in bad shape financially. Did you know? I know about the U-Haul fine and Madison's eviction situation. It's worse than that now. Madison couldn't find an apartment in time. She had to move in with your mom temporarily. But your mom's place is tiny. Barely enough room for 2 people. And now there are 5 of them crammed in there. I felt nothing hearing that. No sympathy, no guilt. Just a mild interest in the karma of it all. The boys are miserable, Rachel continued. 3 teenagers in a 2-bedroom apartment with thin walls. The neighbors are complaining even more than they did at Madison's old place. That's unfortunate for them. Rachel looked at me carefully. You really don't care, do you? They tried to steal my house, Rachel. They had a moving truck ready to go. If I hadn't changed those locks, they would be living in my home right now, and I would be the one crammed into the smallest room. So no, I don't care that their plan backfired. She nodded slowly. I get it. I just wanted you to know that people in the family understand what really happened. Not everyone is on their side. I appreciate that, but I'm done with family politics. I'm done with all of it. Can't blame you there. That conversation stuck with me for a few days. Part of me wondered if I should feel guilty. They were family, after all. Mom had raised me. Madison was my sister. But then I remembered that look of hatred on Mom's face when the police made them leave. The venom in her voice when she said I would die alone. The entitlement in Madison's texts, demanding I pay her cancellation fees. They had never seen me as a person. Just as a resource. Someone was something they wanted. I thought about those nephews too, the 3 boys I barely knew. They were innocent in all this. But they weren't my responsibility. Their mother had made choices that led to their current situation. I couldn't fix that, and I wouldn't let guilt manipulate me into trying. Last month, Mitchell called with one final update. The restraining order expires in 6 months. You'll need to decide if you want to renew it or let it lapse. Renew it. You're sure? It's been almost a year. Sometimes family situations cool down over time. Renew it, Mitchell, for another 2 years if possible. I'll file the paperwork. I hung up and looked around my home office. The house was quiet except for the soft hum of my computer. Some light streamed through the windows. Everything was exactly where I wanted it. No one was going to take this from me. Not my mother, not my sister, not anyone. I had built this life myself. I had earned every square foot of this house, every dollar in my bank account, every success my company achieved. And I had protected it when it mattered most. Some people might think I was cold for cutting off my family. They might say I should forgive, should give second chances, should remember that blood is thicker than water. But those people didn't watch their mother pull out a spare key like a weapon. Didn't hear their sister casually plan to demote them to the worst room in their own house. Didn't see the hatred in their parents' eyes when their scheme failed. I knew exactly who they were now. And I was completely fine with them staying out of my life forever,